metallics. And say we're running that, our production at 1200 stitches per minute. And when it gets to that metallic, say I want to drop that speed down to 1,000. Well, I'm not going to be around, say I'm working on another job, I'm hooping stuff up. I don't want to have to keep an eye on my machine and go over there and turn it down real quick and get it down to 1,000, then readjust it for the next thread. So what I can do is I can program this in the OS so that when it hits color number 3, what it's going to do is it's going to drop the speed down. And then after it's done with that color, when it gets to color number 4, it's going to bring it back up to your normal production speed. So it's just going to help you in the long run. So let's click on settings by color. And like we were saying, color number 3, we need to adjust, right? So let's just work our way right down this list here. If we look, I'm on current colors, number 3. My maximum speed is at 1,100 stitches per minute. I want to drop that down to 1,000. Material feed, we all know our material thickness, right? The higher the number, the thicker the garment, the lower the number, the thinner the garment. Every 10 points is a millimeter. You guys should have your settings, kind of figured out by this point, different garments, different settings. Auto feed lower limit, that's just the lowest that we're letting that active feed drop. And right here we have the enabled upper limit. I usually just leave mine off, or I just leave it at 40. I usually don't see anything above that. I mean, 3D puff and stuff exceptions, but next thing we can do is we can change our tail length here. Everybody kind of thinks, from what I've gathered, that the tail length is referring to the bobbin length. It is not referring to the bobbin length on the trim. What it's doing is it's referring to the top length on the top thread length on the trim, right? So you can have a longer tail, you can have a medium tail, you can have a short tail. Adjust that accordingly. A little side note on that too, if you're running your machine and you notice you just have giant tails on there, go into your tools and check your trim length and maybe change it down to a medium or a short and see if that helps with that issue for you. That's pretty much it on this. I mean, really easy to do. We could set that up. I mean, you can do multiple colors, but make sure before you exit out of this section, you hit set needle 12, which is color number 3 is on needle 12. Otherwise, you're going to do that and it's going to get through there and it's going to not do anything. Another cool feature we have down here is you can see there's kind of some cheat sheets here. Now, if I click on this rayon and I hit apply thread, it adjusted all of the settings for me. Now, these were set up, these have been in here for a bit. So these are kind of set up for your XT, XTS, EMT16, EMT16 Plus. The material feed will not really apply too much to the EMT16X, but what you can do is just come in here and go down to user defined. And if we right click on that, we can adjust our settings real quick or add in a different one. So let's say I want to do this one for CR metallic. I can't spell today. And we want to drop our max speed down to 1,000. Our column feed, what the column feed is, so I wouldn't worry about this unless you're in standard mode. What the column feed, it's represented by the back, right? It's going to be how much bobbin is showing on the back there. So lowering that number is going to decrease the bobbin shown on the back there, and increasing that number is going to bring out more bobbin in there. 40 standard, I would just leave it at 40 unless you're running in standard mode, and then you can change it. But if you're running in auto, just leave that alone. Same thing with this fill and run feed. What that is it's doing the fill or the walk and the fill and the run or the walk, and that's just how much top thread there is on those stitches. So excuse me, the higher that number, the more top stitches you're getting. The lower the number, the least amount. That's 100 is standard on that too. I would just leave that alone. Your material feed, we all know what the material feed is. Remember, the higher the number, the thicker the garment, lower the number, the thinner. Auto feed lower limit, that's just telling us that's our lowest limit on there. Upper limit, and then you got your enable thread break detection, enable your bobbin break detection. I usually just leave those two things on. And we can hit apply. We can hit OK. And now you can see we have a CR metallic already set up in there. So I have 2 of them, I guess, apparently. So a couple little cheats there. And yeah, this is a good feature. Like I was saying, you got a garment that, or a design that you want to slow down, even if you're doing like applique or something like that, and you're starting to go through huge chunks of applique, you can come in here and add that. Yeah, I mean, any specialty thread. I use this if I'm using glow thread as well, because glow in the dark thread is super hard to use. So I'll come in here and I'll change it down. That way you're just keeping your production more efficient. You don't have to go and check your machine and, you know, turn everything down and do all that. So it's going to keep your production running smoothly while you can kind of, you know, hoop other garments and answer questions to customers and do all that good stuff. So settings by color, pretty cool stuff. You can also get into it by going to tools, settings, and then you got settings by color in here as well, where you can adjust stuff. I usually just come in right through my color sequence right here. So if you guys have any questions on this color or settings by color sequence, comment down below. Email us over at applications@malco.com. We're happy to answer any questions on that. So hopefully this gave you a little bit more insight on what that does and when to use it. So hope that helps, and I will see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in.